Hi everybody and welcome to Mindful Crochet Part 1. I am Jenna of Jen's Foster Photography and Art. On my channel you'll find different hobbies but mainly my crochet and reborn baby collector dolls. I have a Facebook group called Cats Coffee Crochet. For those on there you'll know that I am starting to crochet for a charity and you'll know a little bit more about my crochet journey over there. I post work in progress photos and things like that, and I'm currently doing cat jumpers. So I wanted to come on today just to give you a little bit of history about the crochet, to show you the supplies that you need if you want to start crocheting right away. I don't do any specific tutorials as in showing you how to cast on or anything like that. A little bit about me: I've been crocheting for 5 years now. I taught myself to crochet during COVID. I have previously been a knitter, but I found my knitting at that time very frustrating and stressful. Wasn't very therapeutic, but I can knit very well. I just didn't find it relaxing and stress free. I do still knit now and again, but I really have a passion for crochet, but not just any type of crochet, mindful crochet. Mindful crochet is a bit different. There's different styles of crochet, and I'm a mindful crocheter. Reason being, I have complex PTSD and I have been amazed at the benefits just crocheting for as little as 10 minutes to an hour every day has made in my life. And I want to share just how easy it is to do mindful crochet and the amazing therapeutic benefits that it brings you with you all. You can crochet things to sell, you can crochet for yourself, you can crochet to give gifts to friends and family, you can crochet for different charities such as charities for babies, little preemie stuff in hospital. You can crochet for animal charities like I'm starting to do. I'm also going to be crocheting for a mental health charity as well and making little things for their bereavement boxes. So it depends what you want to do with your crochet journey. It's your own unique journey, and as you start to crochet more and more and start to enjoy it and really get the hang of it, then you'll be able to pick which of those things you think you might want to do. So a little bit about the history of crochet. So crochet is a French term, crochet, and it was way back in the 1820s, and the term crochet does actually mean in French hook. I do have some notes here so I don't go off track, is what quite often happens to me when I start talking about crochet and stuff. Crochet actually came out before knitting. I was very intrigued when I done my research on the differences between knitting and crochet, because more people seem to typically be able to knit better than crochet. I thought maybe knitting had come out first. So I was quite surprised when I went and done my research and found that crochet actually was the first needlework that came out rather than knitting. So it was first founded in Egypt, and it was actually known back then as nail binding, NALEBINDING, done with one hook. In the 1820s, the first patterns appeared in European magazines. In the 1860s, the crochet books then first came out, and the patterns went absolutely bananas for the crochet. In the 20th century, the first crochet guilds were formed, and it became even more popular during World War II. Now, getting back to my complex PTSD, I can see why it became so popular in World War II, because it gave the ladies something therapeutic to do, something to help them with their stress, while their sons or husbands or grandfathers, etc., was fighting in the war. It also provided, because lots of people back then would have sewed their crochet, so that provided income for their families. Granny squares came about in the 1970s, and they first came out in Afghan patterns. So Afghan typically means granny square. And knitting came out shortly. I think it was in and around, I can't remember because I didn't write it down, but knitting came out shortly, maybe after crochet, with the two needles. But the crochet appeared first, and it was nail binding in Egypt. The Egyptians done it, and I love anything to do with the Egyptians. I was fascinated by the Egyptians when I was wee, and I still am. I had all the Egyptian fact files and stuff like that, although I don't remember anything about crochet, to be honest. It was that long ago, but I thought that was some interesting facts about crochet. Because lots of people seem to be able to pick up the knitting better with two needles. Now I found I struggle with the two needles, but obviously we're all different. And what I would say to you is, if you've never knitted or crocheted before, try both. Honestly, try both. Now I wish at the start I had done crochet first, but believe it or not, if I had done crochet first, I probably wouldn't have tried knitting. And I actually think, um, because I done the knitting first and I done it for longer than I done the crochet, I think that has kind of helped me understand the crochet a little bit better and how to do it. Even though you're only using one hook, the concept is still the same, holding hook in one hand and wool in the other, the same as the needles, except you've got two needles and then the wool and a needle in this hand. And it's, it is much the same techniques. They are very, very similar. The patterns I have found the knitting patterns to be more difficult to do than the crochet patterns. The crochet patterns I've actually been flying through. Some people have said they don't understand the way the patterns are wrote in the abbreviations. Now, the problem with that is not the actual pattern. The problem with that is the abbreviations, the terminology. So I didn't know when I first started crocheting at the start, I gave it up for about a year because people told me to learn through YouTube, YouTube tutorials. I didn't know there was a difference in terminology between UK terms and US terms. And I was watching videos in US and I was doing it completely wrong. And I thought, right, I mustn't be doing this right. I mustn't be able to do it. And I gave it up. And then I went and I bought this book. And during COVID, I tried again. And I realized it was because I was using the wrong terminology and had completely and utterly confused myself. I got this book and everything, all the stitches is in here, how to do them step by step in color photographs. You can find this on Amazon. This is what I recommend for all my beginners. And there is patterns in here as well. There's wee washcloths and different things. It tells you all the different supplies you need. And there's patterns from beginner. There's a little balls beginner right up to a wee bit more advanced. And there's little bookmarks and all different things and the color photographs and things. And I highly recommend this. It's $9.99 on Amazon. I recommend this for all my beginners. Once I got this book and I was able to pick it up no problem from the book. There is a few people on YouTube I do watch just sometimes for patterns, to try and look at patterns, but most of the time I can't really pick it up from videos. Everybody is different. If you want to take up crocheting, I recommend this book. I recommend trying out the different hooks. I originally started because I was a knitter. I used bamboo and knitting needles, so I decided that I would use bamboo hooks, but as a beginner I couldn't use these. I haven't tried using them since, although I might actually for something or other. But I use the ergonomic. These are nice and soft and warm to hold in your hand. These are nice and warm too, but obviously they're a bit harder. This handle's a bit softer, so it's easier. I can sit for hours and crochet no problem with this in my hand. I tried metal hooks at the start as well, but I don't typically like the coolness of the metal. So I would suggest, if you have a local wool shop, which I don't and never have had, so I have to rely on the internet for all my supplies, unfortunately. But if you have a local wool shop to you, they may also do knitting and crochet classes, which would be a good idea to go in person to classes. But go down to the wool shop, try out all the different needles and see which one feels right for you, because again, that's something about mindful crochet. It's about finding what's comfortable for you. The same with holding the wool. I don't hold the wool the way anybody else holds the wool. I hold the wool just round this bottom finger, and then I bring it up round my top finger, and I arch my top finger. Sorry, my thumb's sticking out. I arch my top finger like this, and then the wool around the bottom of the finger, and I crochet that way. A lot of people will bring the wool around this finger, then they'll bring the wool up through the middle finger, and then up around there. I got tangled up. So it's just all about finding your way, how you feel. Now, some people will crochet like this, the pencil grip. Other people will crochet like this, which is the knife grip. This is the way I crochet. There is no right or wrong way to hold the hook, to hold the wool. It's finding what feels comfortable for you. So yeah, go to a wool shop. You'll be able to try out the different wool. buy a book. If you don't typically are somebody who can't follow a book, then there is some UK channels I would recommend for crochet on YouTube. That is Bella Coco Crochet, but just be aware she also does US terminology, and not her first book, but her newest book out, and her little deck of cards is wrote in US terminology. So I teach in UK terminology, nothing else. So there's no confusion for me, and no confusion on my channel or my Facebook group for anybody else. So I'm all UK terms. But yes, go and feel the different, there's different textures of wool. Now for beginners, I recommend, these are 6mm hooks, and I recommend when you're starting out for a beginner, you don't have to get a fancy rainbow bundle of wool like this, any block color, but not dark colored, a light color, something like yellow so you can see your stitches, and chunky yarn and a 6mm hook, and just see how, you know, practice holding your hook and your yarn, practice chaining on, and when you feel comfortable doing that, then you can start to do your double crochet. And as I say, if you're getting the book, you'll have the book to show you all of that and the double crochet. The reason I'm saying don't get a dark yarn is because you won't be able to see your stitches. And the reason I say about getting the chunky is because the chunky yarn is thicker. This hook is a bigger size, and it's much easier for beginner crocheters to get the feel of crocheting and the hang of using wool and hook. Then whenever you get the hang of your double crochet and your treble, I'm going to show you my first swatches I done 5 years ago. Then you can go down, if you're going to do a pattern, for example, a washcloth, it's usually done in double knit cotton, and it's done in a 4mm. Mine is not, it's in there somewhere, but it's a slightly thinner hook than this, and a thinner yarn, and it can be a little bit trickier when you move on to the thinner yarn to get your hook into the spaces without catching the threads of the yarn and stuff. So that is why I recommend using a chunky ball of wool. That's all you need, a 6mm hook and this book, and you can start practicing crochet no problem. It's a very inexpensive hobby, but it has great therapeutic benefits. It's brilliant for complex PTSD, stress, anxiety, depression. It's brilliant for autism, ADHD. It lowers your blood pressure. It's very good at improving your cognitive memory. I would have forgetfulness and brain fog with my complex PTSD, and to be honest, since I've started crocheting now for at least an hour every day, my forgetfulness and my brain fog has completely cleared. I'm feeling so much better within myself, and I feel more positive as well. It really is fantastic for mental health. Oh, and also a measuring tape might be handy as well for beginner supplies once you go to do your first project, so you can measure things. So my first swatches were, this one was my first double crochet swatch, and that is not how you do double crochet at all, but this is what beginners double crochet would look like. This was my beginner's treble crochet, which is a little bit better actually than the double crochet. They're taller stitches, so the treble crochet is a little bit quicker crocheting up. Crochet is a little bit quicker than knitting anyway, but again, the fantastic thing about mindful crochet is you go at your own pace. So you don't rush to get things finished like I used to do. I used to think that I was a terrible crocheter and knitter because I wasn't knitting as much as what this person knitted in a year. And that's not what crochet is about at all. Not unless you're a business and you need to get stock crocheted to sell and stuff. But if you're not a business and you're here for the therapeutic benefits, then take your time, enjoy the process, and it doesn't matter if you don't get your project finished until next year. If you're doing a wee bit of it each day, it's really going to benefit you. This was my first face scrubbing. This is in the round. As you can see, because it's all twisted, I've added on too many stitches, but that was my beginner face scrubbing. And this was my beginner flower. Again, I think there was a bit too many. I actually done an extra petal. That's what it was. I done an extra petal by mistake. I was supposed to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It was to be a little daisy and then a bit of yellow in the middle. I can now do flowers no problem. I can do roses. I can do daisies. I can do lavender. Lavender is a brilliant beginner flower to do. And maybe we'll show some of that in videos to come over the year. But those is all my beginner. That's what my beginners crochet looks like, and that's fine. And I just wanted to keep all my beginner swatches so I could see my progress. So I'll put that over there. So this is where I've progressed to. Now I have done Amergami toys, but I don't sell them. I've done them for my my son and my daughter. In fact, there's a video on my Facebook group. If you want to join the Facebook group, I will post the link in the comments section whenever I get a chance to upload this one onto my YouTube channel, and I'll post the link to the group in there. If you want to join it, you'll find videos in there too, which may not be on here. And I posted some of the things in there. It was a Christmas video, I think I done before Christmas. I posted some of my finished makes in there. I do hats, I do scarves, adult scarves and children's scarves. I typically love working in a ran and chunky wool because it crochets up really quick, and it's also really thick and cozy. Obviously, coming into the summertime, then you might want to go for double knit. But for beginners, just for practicing, go with the chunky and those other things I have said. So I've done, as I say, hats and scarves. I have done cushions. I have done the wee Amergami toys. I have done flowers. And at the moment, I am doing a cat jumper. And this is just double crochet, just normal double crochet, and it's just a very basic cat jumper. So this is one side I've already done. I have to do the other side, and then I will fold the two sides together, and then I will sew just across the top, and then turn it back round the right way, so inside out if you like, and then pop it onto my cat. Because I can knit dog jumpers no problem. So I decided I would try a cat jumper. I have an outdoor cat, but he goes out on his lead and his harness, and well, not his lead, most of the time it's just his harness. He's well trained, he comes to my commands, but he would find it very cold when he goes outside, and he likes wearing his harness, so I thought he might like wearing a wee jumper because he shivers a lot. So I've made him this little jumper. I'm not sure if I can get it close enough so you can see the stitching, but if you look at that compared to, so this is my double crochet now. Maybe I should show the lemon side, would it be easier to see? So this is my double crochet now, and this was my double crochet 5 years ago. It will curl up there just a bit because I'll need to block it, but there is my double crochet from 5 years ago, this blue one, and there's my double crochet now. So there's what practice and patience does. The three P's for mindful crochet is practice, perseverance, and patience. And I certainly have had to learn. I'm not the most patient person. I never was. I had to learn a lot of patience when I had my 2 kids, and definitely crocheting takes a bit of patience as well. So I'm going to leave that there for today. I will link the link to my Facebook group in the comments below. So yes, do follow along there if you're on Facebook, because sometimes it's a bit easier for me posting videos in there than directly to Facebook. I am going to be back next week when the kids go back to school with part 2. I have some lovely new yarn coming, which I treated myself. A few different types of yarn that I want to show you and talk about, and tell you which projects that they're good for, and share my next project, which I'm going to do. I am going to be doing some knitting between now and the end of January, and then I'll be back at crocheting again after that, because crocheting is my preferred choice and it's what I find most therapeutic. If you do want to find out about knitting, I highly recommend Knit with Hannah here on YouTube. I've actually been watching her videos in the last month or so, and she has really built my confidence up again with my knitting. She's very mindfulness based as well, and also the tips and tricks that she's been given for knitting, I've actually been able to apply to my crochet, which is fantastic. So I highly recommend her as well. If you want to follow along with some crochet tutorials, if you don't want to get the book, you can follow Bella Coco Crochet, as I mentioned earlier. There is Blossom Crochet. These are all the UK ones. Cozy Rosie UK. And the other one, did I say Blossom Crochet? There's Blossom Crochet, and there's Mary Matthews Handmade, and those are the few UK channels which I have come across, which I would watch the odd time for just some tips really. For my patterns, I get all my patterns on Ravelry usually. Or as I say, sometimes if I find a pattern through a tutorial, but I have to write mine down. I'm a person who has to have everything wrote down and have it in this form to know what I'm doing. I also did a crochet diploma through the Centre of Excellence. They're on Facebook if you want to check them out. They always have a discount code on, and it gives you everything from teaching you how to crochet, the beginners of crocheting, teaches you how to read a pattern. There's also patterns in there you can crochet as well. You get a certificate at the end of it. I mean, you don't have to do it for the certificate. I done it. It cost me £60, £30 for the course, the actual course, because I got it on discount. Normally they're £127 for the courses. But I got it for a discount. There's usually a discount code. I can't remember what the current discount code is, but if you go onto the Facebook page, Centre of Excellence, it'll tell you on there. They do hundreds of courses. They're absolutely brilliant. I've done quite a few courses with them. I've done art therapy with them as well. But I want to do the crochet therapy because I talked about the patterns. I talked about how to create your own patterns. I talked about if you wanted to set up a crochet business and stuff like that. So if anybody's interested in that, as I said, it's normally 127, but with the code, you may be able to get it for 29. And then if you want the written materials, which I got, I'll show it in another video. The written book, which I got just to keep for reference, because I am a book person. If you can look around my room, you would see the amount of books I have. I'm a book person, and that's how I work, and I've been like that for years. So for the written materials, it's an extra £30 for the written materials. So all in all, it cost me £60. And I done the essays and the questions. I done the exam, and I got the certificate, and I scored 97%. So I really surprised myself. And I done that just before Christmas. So I have a good knowledge and good experience now of crochet. So if anybody wants to ask me anything at all, and if you have any ideas or any specific videos or anything you'd like me to do, just let me know in the comment section below. But I will be back next week with my yarn unboxing. I can't wait to show you that, and hopefully by then I'll have this finished. I did do one before this, which was for Simba, but it turned out to be too small. I don't typically sort of go by measurements. I'm not the brainiest when it comes to numbers. So typically to make my items larger or smaller, I do a tip, which I was taught at my knitting group in my local church. And that was just to use bigger yarn, as in chunky, super chunky, bigger yarn and a bigger needle size. Now, when I was knitting, I was a tight knitter. So I had to go up a needle size. So if it was chunky yarn I was using and at 6mm for chunky wool, I had to use a 6.5. I have discovered now that I am a crocheter, I'm actually a loose crocheter. So I went from being tight knitter to a loose crocheter, and I have to go down a needle size. So this is chunky yarn I am using for Simba's jumper here, and I am using a 5.5mm, and that makes it nice and neat instead of really loose and just not nice at all. Not good fitting when it's loose. It's now nice and neat, and it'll be a nice snug fit if I can get him to put his two front paws through it to put it on. That is, but he usually is compliant, so hopefully it'll not be a problem. But I'll leave it there. I want to wish you all a happy new year, and I hope you'll join me next week for Mindful Crochet Part 2, because I've got lots of different tips and tricks coming up on how you can create a relaxing atmosphere and things, and how you can do crochet meditations and different things like that with mindful crochet. So I hope you'll join me in my mindful crochet journey this year, and also follow along if you can with me on the Facebook group. So a happy new year, and I will see you next week for my yarn unboxing. Bye.